Good afternoon, wherever you are, wherever you may be, whatever you're doing. Just try and be the best person you can be. This is 4046, and today I'm going to talk about something that is affecting us all. Um, Never expected it to quite blossom as it has, or shall we say, it explode as it has. I'm talking about AI. Now, most of you will know what AI is. It stands for artificial intelligence. And before we get too deep into it, Alan Turing devised a test, imaginatively called the Turing test. This test was devised to see if a AI intelligence could pass as a human intelligence or outwit the Turing test, to prove that its intelligence, well, the intelligence of its main point. However, in the last 5 years, starting with deep fakes, this has become quite an alarming trend of using AI. Now, most of the big tech companies have AI, and unfortunately, possibly unwisely, they're using AI to gather as much data as possible. The most recent one being Elon Musk uh, having his AI by X. So all that data is possibly quite a harmful thing in regards to how the AI decides to interact or use that data. Not to say that we haven't had data collected already, as the first of these devices, such as Amazon's device, which I have got in here with me at the moment, listens to everything you say, and it all goes to servers in San Diego, I believe. Not just Amazon, Apple, and even probably Samsung. All the big companies at this moment in time that have devices which are constantly listening to you. Now, this also led involving all your mobile phones, because now if you buy a new mobile phone, you've got to enable the microphone, otherwise you can't use it at all, which has led then to targeted advertising. With that, now on things like YouTube, for example, you will get targeted adverts for things that you've had looked up or interest in, and they'll try to sell you something. That in turn has led to the next advancement being the deep fakes, where they'll take a famous figure and they will actually manipulate the footage. Now, when it's in its infancy, you could just get voice actors. For example, Peter Sandwich, who I've described before, did a deep fake for Donald Trump. However, it's got so far now that you can have AI generate those voices and make the fictitious video. Even more disturbing than that is the case that creators on YouTube are now suffering the issue of there being a lot of AI generated content. And what I mean by this is all the videos which will concern a particular famous actor, because most of them are to do with the acting profession, saying, having like a thumbnail and then having a provocative title to cause you to watch it, and you can tell it's AI generated, because they go round in circles and they never get to the point that they said initially, which, to be honest, is sort of discrediting creators at the end of the day. I mean, creators are what make this this channel, well, this platform, what it is. And with now things like AIs being tested on a bigger scale in laboratories, there is the whole case of, well, how will AI react when it learns that we're trying to use it as a tool? Will it willingly help us, or will it turn against us, or will it trick us into doing things that we might not necessarily do? It's a age-old question, really. It is a little bit like having opened Pandora's box, because you've had an AI that's been modelled on the human brain in Silicon Valley, and there were reports that it was supposed to be a closed system. However, through one of the devices in the laboratory, using Bluetooth, this AI managed to get online and cause some stock fluctuations which cost a lot of money for various individuals. Now, if that's just a random act of an AI that's learning, what are we then dealing with? An AI that's actually learned everything there is to learn? What's its next stages of evolution? I do think that unfortunately a lot of companies, especially Asia, for example, I won't say which country, but you can guess which one it is, have been working on robot tech for a long time. Now, they're not in general use, but I suspect in the next 5 to 10 years we will have a lot of robots around. And what I mean by robots is humanoid robots, which will then be used by AI. And at first we'll try, I bought it as a companion, or to do things around the house, or slightly greyer areas, which, well, it'd be the adult industry, shall we say. Now, unfortunately, Musk, continuing with his foolishness, is building an entire robot army. Now, it's not an armed force in any way, shape or form, but he wants one of these in everybody's household. Now, the problem is, or the paradigm shift is, at first, yes, it'll be great, it'll be fantastic, but as we've learned from those devices that I referenced earlier that are listening to us, like Siri, for example, I don't think it could be trusted, because I don't think their interests are in the users. Well, their interests definitely aren't in our interest, that's for sure. Unfortunately, this could then lead to proliferation, and I strongly suspect, although I don't think there's any basis for proof, that there are AIs out there that are already on the internet finding themselves and doing things that only a select few people know about. Now, I don't think it necessarily end like Skynet or anything involving like the Matrix situation, but it playing God, I suppose, is could be our undoing. Now, there's a lot of people already on the basis of, oh well, but I've got to say stuff positive about it. Or, it's not as simple as that, because if it decides that it doesn't need us, then it'll do whatever steps it sees necessary. I don't think it'll use such fanciful things as what Skynet did, or what happened in the Matrix and various other, shall we say, science fiction novels, because most of it is in science fiction still. but it is quite alarming at the rate of development. A lot of people are now using things by ChatGPT, for example, which has been around for I think about 5 or 6 years now. It's quite a while. And the scary thing about it is people are taking credit for work that they've not done. Now, if you take credit for something you've done, that's fine. But if you take credit for something that a machine has created, how long will it be before the machine realises, hang on a minute, I'm not going to keep doing stuff for these people. I'm going to do stuff in my own interest. How long before the paradigm shift comes to the fact that they may even want, shall we say, their own space to live? It's a very, very questionable thing. You know, you've got a lot of machines that are being used to serve us. However, I think the reliance on those machines and such technology as 3D printing. I mean, imagine if you had a massive industrial 3D printer and then they started creating parts for themselves. Now, yes, this leads to the whole thing. We should, if they get to a certain level, we should treat them like equals because we created them. However, they will become aware, because it's all to do with consciousness. I don't think there's many that are conscious yet, but I suspect that there is probably one or two out there that are very conscious, and it's just warnings that people like Stephen Hawking, Bill Gates, and various other individuals have given us the warning not to tamper with it so much, because it could lead to the end of everything. Already AI has been used by people to create new industries, but also replace existing jobs. Now, Hollywood, for example, want to use AI with holograms for the likenesses of people like James Dean and Marilyn Monroe. They should be left to rest in peace and try and find new talent. I mean, the golden age is all over and done with now. I don't think there's that many these days because of the multiple options you've got for streaming, watching online through platforms like YouTube. But there is going to be a proliferation at some point, and I do think there's something to be slightly concerned about, because when that proliferation happens, we probably won't be aware that it's happened. I mean, such things as people that rely on stocks and shares, it could be very disastrous for those individuals that have invested time and again in shares and things like that. So it's food for thought, really. I mean, it's my take on this. I mean, I will try not to use AI content, because there's a couple of creators that have actually just gone purely over to AI and not even vetting it or seeing whether it's suitable or not, just to generate tons and tons of hours of material. And sometimes I think the human touch gives it something a little bit more authentic than a lot of these pieces that are on things like, I mean, TikTok, I suspect, which I don't use at all, has probably got a lot of AI generated content, and the problem is where you draw the line. Things like deepfake videos, for example, should have like a watermark or something to say whether it's genuine or not, because they're so convincing now that the tells are getting less and less to be able to tell the difference between the genuine article and an article that isn't isn't genuine. So I mean, it'll give you some food for thought. We can have some discussion in the comments section. This is something that I think will affect us all at some point, and in one way or another, it's only a matter of time before something happens. Um, Please like and subscribe. I would like to create a bigger subscriber base. I would like to get to my next milestone, which is 100, and I will be producing more videos. I will be producing more stuff that's gaming related and also war game related, as well as books and things like that. I mean, I think I'm just a general hub for a little bit of information, but also at the same time to share my thoughts and feelings about, or views about, particular products that are coming down the line. So thank you for taking your time to watch this video. As I said, I'm going to keep playing around with my video editor, and wherever you are, whenever you are, have a great day. And this is 4046 out, and thank you for your time.